My name is Carolyn Dryer. When I was 3 months old, we came from Richmond, California, where my dad had worked in the shipyards during the war, and he went to work for J.G. Boswell in Marinette as a field foreman in the cotton fields. Marinette, it was a company community. J.G. Boswell owned all of the housing there. Most of it was on the south side of Grand Avenue at about 103rd Avenue. It's hard to say how many people lived there. I would say close to 250, maybe 300. And a lot of them were just like us. I can remember just going to the cotton fields as a youngster. My mother would pull me around on her cotton sack. She ran the lunch wagon, which was nothing but a cover over a railing in the back of a pickup is what it was. Me and 6 other brothers and sisters, we lived in this very small house. I still call it a shack, and we had an outhouse. We never had indoor plumbing till we moved into Peoria in 1955. There is one funny story dealing with our outhouse. Well, my one brother, who was 16, I believe at the time, brought home from work a bottle of whiskey, which was prohibited in our house, and hid it in the outhouse. He went to the outhouse and came back into the house crying to my mother about his whiskey bottle being gone. And she said, well, you know where it is. If you want it bad enough, you can just go get it. That's been a funny story in my house for a long time. Never happened again. We moved into Peoria, March of 1955. Del Webb ended up buying Boswell Farms, which is now Sun City. We all had to pick up our roots and move somewhere. Mr. Boswell, he gave an acre of land to all of his workers for $100. For us, he gave us our house. And I had a half-brother who owned an acre in Peoria in the Varney Tract. And he gave my dad access to the other half on the east side to place our house. So we had to move that house into Peoria. And for about 2 or 3 weeks, we lived outside under the tarp of a truck bed. There were still 6 of us living in that house in Peoria. And that's where we stayed until March of 1963. When we moved into Peoria, I was in the 5th grade. So I had to learn how to walk to school instead of hopping onto a bus, which was fine with me. I thought I had been freed. You know, I could do anything. I could walk to school any way I wanted. But we made new friends once we moved into Peoria. So I enjoyed my time. Once we moved into Peoria, I had a social life. But I liked to run on the monkey bars. And Mr. Amspoker, Mr. Kenneth Amspoker, told me not to run on the monkey bars. It wasn't 30 minutes after he had given me that warning that I fell from the top level of the monkey bars, but the last bar caught me right and pulled out my front tooth. For 5.5 years, I went without a front tooth. I had a wonderful high school career. I didn't participate in any sports. I just concentrated on my classwork. And I ended up being the district spelling bee champion. That sent me to the county spelling bee, and I was the first one eliminated there. I was so embarrassed, and I vowed I would never go through that again. So the following year, I purposely misspelled a word so I would be eliminated right there in the classroom. That's just one of the things I did that I shouldn't have done in school. Well, after I graduated, I went to work in Phoenix, but I wanted to work in Peoria, so I got a job at the Arizona Bank, which was at 83rd and Grand at that time. And I was there until we moved into Phoenix in 1963. I married a boy from Glendale that I had met when I was a senior in high school. and we moved to Scottsdale so I could be closer to ASU because I was trying to get a degree in marketing, and I was there a year at ASU. But in 1969, I was diagnosed with cancer, and so I didn't sign up for the next year for my junior year at ASU. A year after that, we moved up to Pumpkin Center. We had bought some land up there, and that's where I lived for 26 years. I started writing a humor column. We bought the Pumpkin Center store in 1971, and I noticed so many funny things about people, and so I started writing a humor column. I got a job at the Payson Roundup, writing a weekly column called Pumpkin Seeds from Pumpkin Center. And it was quite popular. I wasn't paid much, that's for sure, but I always felt like if I could write something that could give people a smile, make people smile, I will have done my job. I went to Globe, to the Arizona Silver Belt, and talked with the publisher there, and I started writing there for the next it was like 10 and a half years, 11 years, I wrote that column for the Arizona Silver Belt. But I got a call in February of '96 from the director of the Arizona Newspaper Association saying that Bill Toops at the Peoria Times would like for me to come down and interview for the editor's job at the Peoria Times. I ended up taking the job and moved back down to Peoria. I couldn't believe how Peoria had grown. When I left, there were 1,200 people in Peoria. When I came back in '96, there were 85,000. The Triangle was gone. The Triangle was a little part of downtown Peoria there at 83rd and Grand. The pharmacy was no longer there on the corner. Manuel's Tavern was gone, and Manuel's place was Wilhelm Automotive. And just everything was just combobulated in my mind. At the same time, I was really in awe at Peoria City Hall. I couldn't believe that such a large, what they used to call the Taj Mahal in Peoria. I think that's what they called it when it was built. It was just beautiful. So I was impressed. I was impressed with what was going on. And of course, it was really funny. The mayor at that time was Ken Forgey. He was one of my older brother's buddies in high school. The changes that I saw, I guess, would be that the council had approved the construction of Theater Works. That was an important construction project, but one of the most important buildings that was constructed was Rio Vista Community Center. That has ended up being a boon to the city. And another structure that I felt was important was the Veterans Memorial. That was an important step for the city to take to honor our veterans. And Estancia, oh my goodness, what a landmark community it's become. Peoria is important because it's literally my hometown. I just want to make sure that whoever is in the mayor's office, whoever is seated at the council, that they do not forget the history and they try to preserve as many of the older buildings in downtown that they can. I am just touched in my heart with all of the good memories that I had there. I could never, ever forget Peoria.